It is June 16 and it's my pleasure to have JP, who is coming to us live from Tokyo, Japan. Welcome, JP.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Wow, you learned so much Japanese while you were there.
Oh wow.
So
Wow,
what's
this
what's
place.
your tour been like in Japan? What have you seen and experienced?
Oh my God. Japan, the Japanese people are so beautiful, Doc. Uh so honorable. The food is amazing. I'm eating a lot of miso soup, a lot of sushi, a lot of seafood, and a lot of sake.
Oh, okay, all right. That's
Amazing.
a good combination right there.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's beautiful. Tokyo is amazing. We went to Osaka. We went to Kyoto. It's beautiful villages, beautiful
Mhm.
cities. So yeah, it's amazing.
Did you happen to see a space ark underneath Mount Fuji?
I didn't pass by Mount Fuji. I took the bullet train passing Mount Fuji, but I didn't pass by Mount Fuji. So uh, I didn't feel anything. But
Hmm.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful mountain. I'm sure there's something brewing down there.
Well, of course, Jean-Charles Moyen says he's visited the space ark there, so that's very interesting. If if um, if it's possible to actually be there, but I guess that's not going to happen now for you.
Well, I still got 5 days here, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it'd be very interesting if you go there and kind of see if you can feel or tune into any arc there. And he also talked about a guardian. Have you in your space arc adventures or missions, have you ever come across something like a guardian? Jean-Charles described the guardian protecting the space arc.
Well, that happened when I went into the ant kingdom. There was two guardians there,
Mhm.
and they were protecting the realm of the entrance of the ant kingdom. Now I noticed that like going into inner earth.
Mhm.
But the arcs, the only thing I remember is just entering, and the whole atmosphere changes. You feel your whole body changes. You feel like a beautiful sensation, like a peace humming sensation throughout your whole body, and you feel yourself connected to the ship, to the ark. So you just feel an angelic feeling with the arcs.
I see. Great. Well, we'll come back to the topic of the arcs a little bit later, but now.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Why don't you talk a little bit about, you've released 3 photos of yourself as a child. So you want to talk about that and why you did that?
I did that because, in a way, you know, I was feeling that it's the time to start revealing myself little by little, because right now we're going through a lot. The world, um, different people are going through a lot of negative vibes. So I think me doing that, I feel, and I got the green light to reveal certain pictures now. So let's see what happens when I reveal my full face,
Mhm.
and what would happen to when they see my face. You know, are they going to subpoena me? Are there? So I don't know what's going to happen when I reveal my face, but something good is going to come out of it. So um, a lot of people are going to feel happy when they see my face. I think, I hope so. But
Right.
yeah,
It's good that you mentioned that you were green lighted. So that means that this senior Air Force officer that you've been working with, that he's giving you the thumbs up to reveal these child photos, and eventually you're going to reveal your face. Now you're going to reveal your face and your full name, right? So that way people can kind of find out, independently about your military service and so forth.
probably my face and JP for now.
Hmm.
Uh, but eventually when they find my face, they're gonna find my name. So I'll let people figure that out as
Hmm.
much as they can. But for now, just my face and my, you know, JP.
Right. And of course, once you reveal your face and you reveal your name, then the unredacted version of your DD-214 can be released. Because we actually have a redacted version in the book, US Army Insider Missions, that has a
Yeah, we
redacted
do.
version where your name is blacked out and the name of the bases where you served are blacked out. And but you're going to release that without the redactions.
Oh yeah, that's gonna surely be released. Once I reveal my name
Yeah,
and
perfect.
all that, we can reveal certain stuff. Like the bases and all that. And I will release videos of me working in those places too. You know, if
That's
they get
awesome.
green lighted. Me on vehicles, me with my with the weapons, me jumping out of planes. It's just certain things that will confirm that I was in the military and also completing the DD-214.
Are you prepared to go before members of Congress and testify about your experiences? Because that's been happening with whistleblowers or people that have served in the military or the intelligence community. So, are you going to do that as well if you're given the opportunity or asked to?
Yeah, I don't have no problem doing that. If they want me to do it, I'll do it. It's people need to know that what we're dealing with is we're dealing with ETs, right? And we're dealing what is spirituality. It connects to each other, and it goes beyond. It goes beyond interdimensional, and it mixes in with the spirituality. So when people realize who are these ETs and why are they here and why they're connecting with us, these Nordics and other types of ETs are connecting with humanity. People are going to be shocked of where these people come from, and religion has a big factor with all this that's going to come out. So if you're spiritual, this is a time to be um, in your church or whatever religion you're in. I think spirituality is a big factor here because we do have a evil and we do have a good.
Yeah, very, very important to understand those differences. So, why don't you tell us now about this new update you have to share about the Pacific Space Ark?
I was taken. This is me remembering what happened. I was taking, I was taken like in the middle of the night, like at 3 o'clock, and then in the middle of the hotel room, there was a line of soldiers dressed in black, and then in the end of the hallway, there was a person dressed in white with the same uniform. These uniforms, I think I send you the pictures of how these guys looked like. I didn't feel peace, Doc. Um, I woke up, I felt like a pain in my chest, and I started having flashbacks of these soldiers lined up and they took me by force. And I remember trying to,
Oh, you're frozen.
yeah, I think they're trying to stop what I'm trying to say. Let's see what happens. um, so they they were taking me by force, And I remember trying to fight back, but they were like controlling me, like not hypnotized, but I just followed my way. And um I remember being on a ship. Okay, but this ship was like a ship that I haven't seen before. It was a boat, but it was floating over the water in a rectangle shape. And I remember looking to the side of this rectangle uh, shape craft, and I could see the waves in the bottom, and this was going like really fast over the oceans. Uh, it was like going really fast. So it was a ship, a platform ship that was like floating over the ocean. And I remember looking over, and then I don't remember as much more, and I remember myself inside this ark ship. I believe was the Pacific Ark, Doc, that I entered, and I could tell it was an ark because I smelt the same smell that I smelled in the Atlantic Ark. It's the
Okay.
same smell, and the same, you can see the same algae on the wall that was fluorescent. And I thought myself, am I in the Atlantic Ark? And I looked around and I was like, what the hell is this? But it was a negative vibe that I was feeling. It was being forced to be activated. And I said, hey, we should not be here now. The Ark does not want us to be here. And they're like, go in right now, or we're going to take everything that you have away from you. You know, and in this moment, you know, I'm in Japan with, you know, my other half, you know, so I'm hesitant of what's happening because, you know, she's over there by herself. I'm over here, and all this was flowing in. So I got I think they think that I forget, but I don't. I don't forget my experiences. And
Right.
and I haven't gotten, I'm telling you this um update without talking to anybody back at home. So this update is kind of risky for me as well. So they forced me into the to this room that was like oval shaped in the ark, and the ark was vibrating like, and I just felt sad. The ark was making me feel like what the ark was feeling, and the ark was feeling uh like it was getting violated.
Okay.
And these guys saying you have to do what you did over there in the Atlantic Ark. You got to try to activate it. And I say, and I told them, get me the F out of here right now. I don't want to be here. And if the Ark does not let me access it, I will not access the Ark. So one guy came up to me, he grabbed me in my neck, and I could not breathe. He had leather gloves. He grabbed me in my neck, and he forced me into the wall. And then after that, I let go of breath, and the whole ark vibrated, and it shielded, and it pushed the person's back like that, and they flew back, and I felt like the ark was like with me, like protecting me, because it knew that I was doing the right thing, and I was in this room, and the ark did not let them come close to me. And then behind me, I looked and I saw what it was, a Nordic being crying. And I think they were trying to, they caught him, and they tried to use him to enter more into the ark. So these people, I don't know who these people are, Doc, but they were dressed in black, and they felt really evil. really evil. And they were trying to force the Nordic that was behind me and me to go more into the Ark, but the Ark was shielding them from us. So I told to the Nordic, and I pointed to the Nordic, let's go this way. I know how the Arks look like. Come this way. And the Nordic was like he didn't want to go with me. And I said, come with me. Come with me. So I touched the Nordic and he felt what I was thinking. So he started following me. And he stopped crying and he showed like a happy face, like if I was right next to his side. So we started running towards a area of the Ark that was like open, and it had seats all around, and the Ark closed a big massive door, like, and blocked those bad guys in the Ark. So from now, I don't know if they're still stuck in the Ark and are probably deceased, or the Ark got rid of them. And all this is happening while all this in the Middle East is happening, and I think it happened even before. I told you that I had this update before all the attacks happened with Iran and Israel and all this shit happening right now around the world. So we went to this thing that was round.
Before you go on, maybe just to kind of like give people more context for this. So, today's Monday, June 16th. So when did this happen? What day were you taken? Do you remember what day?
Like a week and a half ago, I remember talking to you, Doc.
Okay, so that was
yes,
before you went to Japan.
Friday.
So it was
Friday.
While you're in Japan.
It was Friday that I sent you the pictures.
Right. Friday. We're talking
last Friday,
June 10, right?
I think so. I believe so.
Okay. So you're in Japan. You get taken, and you said you were on a rectangular kind of ship that was moving really fast. Now, was that the actual Space Ark or something taking you to the Space Ark?
No, this vehicle was not something that I recognized. This vehicle were the bad guys take me to the Ark.
Okay. So this is a vehicle going really fast on top of the ocean, and then you remembered being inside of the Ark. So you don't remember how you got into it?
No, they forced me in there, yeah.
Okay, so they forced you in. They're all black-clad, and just for more context, in our previous interview, you described how the Pacific Ark had been kind of like behaving strangely, moving really quickly, and that it was heating up really fast. It was though, and you said that there's some black hats were trying to activate it, and they were up to no good, and that you might be on a future mission. So was this the future mission, or is this something else?
I think I was getting the sense that something was going to happen. I can sense when I'm going to be connected to an Ark. So, like I said before, everything is now, then, and the future is happening at once. The Nordic was giving me some information about spirituality information. He was talking to me telepathically while we were going through all this, doors and trying to get out from the Ark. I don't remember coming back to the hotel room or to the garden, or I don't know how I got back to the hotel room in Tokyo. It was weird. It probably felt like the sensation of when I had my first experience in Brazil when I closed my eyes and I opened my eyes and I was back, you know. So
So who brought you back? Do you think it was the Nordics
I think the Nordics brought me back. Yeah, for sure.
okay. So as far as the black hats were concerned, or those that were, that had abducted you, I mean, you and the Nordic had just disappeared into the Ark because you were able to activate it, or it was protecting you. You went into another area, they couldn't find you. They're kind of stuck. They're trapped, and you and the Nordic were able to get out because you went to a region of the Ark where I guess his people could take you out.
Yeah, that they have control of. So these arcs, the Nordics, they have control of these arcs. So
Okay,
these
you've
people, do you still hear me?
yeah, I do.
So these people were trying to get into these arcs. I think they even tried that to the Atlantic arc, but the Nordics brought more of their ships and started protecting more of the Atlantic arc when it was activating and moving more into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, more closer to where the Bermuda Triangle is, that area.
Yeah, you've described how the Nordics kind of like took over control of the Atlantic Space Ark, and that the jewel was removed, and then it was brought back, and the Nordics kind of helped in bringing the jewel back to that Atlantic Space Ark. But as far as the Pacific Space Ark is concerned, it seems that these black hats, or these this negative group, somehow they were able to get into it, and they have a certain control over it, but not that much control.
No, they don't have that much control over it, but they do have access. We don't know how they got access. I don't know what technology they got that can get them into the arc. Probably a quantum teleportation type of weapon or transportation that they have that can take them into the arc. But they have technology that is really advanced. Where I saw what I saw.
Now, I know in the past you've talked about the arcs being connected through these portals, and you've described the kind of blue sphere filled with a kind of liquid-like or water-like substance where you could go from one arc to the other arc. So is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
how they access the Pacific Arc, or no? In your case, I guess you described being taken in some rectangular vehicle from the hotel to the Pacific Space Ark.
Yes, yes. They took us from there, but I'm sure somebody leaked the information of how these arcs work with the teleportation inside of it. So I think there's a leaker or somebody leaked it of the information of how these arcs work in the inside.
I see. So if the negative faction, and here we're probably talking about the deep state, have been able to take over or gain access to the Pacific Space Ark, does that mean that they are probably able to access some of the other arcs that you know of? I think you named 10.
Yes, yes. They're trying to access all the arcs at once. So they're sending teams of groups of negative people to these different arcs. That was the message I was getting, how the way they were talking to me to activate it. I think there's other people that can activate other arcs as well. I don't know if maybe John Charles or, you know, somebody else. I don't know who they use or what's happening, but they're trying to act. And what I was getting to is that there's an arc in Antarctica that's giving out a major signal. So I don't know if that arc was penetrated as well. So
Mhm.
the signal that it was given out was like a help signal. Uh, like a help signal. So I don't know if the Nordics activated that arc to give out a help signal, and that help signal happens, we're gonna have all these ships out of nowhere coming in, and I think, or is, or there's gonna be a massive disclosure in the next coming weeks, or they're gonna hold up disclosure because of all this that's happening, and the arcs are gonna cease to give out their energy, and disclosure might not happen.
Yeah, well, I know, a couple of years ago when we first started talking about the arcs, you were saying that, the information you were getting would be that the space arcs would eventually start to rise. People would start seeing them all over the world, and that's how disclosure would happen. But it seems as though this development where the black hats have gained access, that is no longer going to happen. We're not going to see them floating, and because somehow they've been compromised by the dark faction or the black hats.
That's what it looks like is happening, and it's kind of scary if that happens, because we're gonna go another 1,000 years of of shit landing.
So when you were at that briefing at Eglin Air Force Base, where there were the 40 Nordics and the 40 Air Force officials, and they were talking about the Pacific Space Ark being moved, and that there was and that was heating up the ocean rapidly, and that was causing problems, and that there was a dark faction associated with that. And was there any kind of plan to take control of the Pacific Space Ark and the other arcs?
Well,
What's
that Nordic that was there, I think he was part of that, whatever what was happening. So the Nordic that was there already in the Pacific Ark, he was part of that group. So I don't know what happened to his friends or other people that was with him, but he was the only one I saw. I only saw one person. And then these people that are evil, I saw like 30 of them. They were like walking up and down the ark. One was choking me, and the ark just went, the ark just did like a shield and pushed them away. And they like flew back. I'm like, what the heck is happening here? So it was an amazing feeling when I felt that the ark was by my side and protecting me. So that was a good feeling that the ark was protecting us, the Nordic and I.
okay? Okay. So with with this dark faction, with these negative people, were they like wearing masks? Could
They
you?
was they was wearing masks. They were wearing, it was like a grayish, blackish mask, and they all had like the same face. Like it was like a face mask, but you can see their cheek line, and it goes down like this, and it wrapped around their neck, and they were a little bit bigger. So
Yeah.
I was not scared, but in a way, I was like, the way they were forcing me and telling me what to do. I'm kind of used to it because I come from the military. But yeah, I think they were probably about to eliminate me if I didn't give them what they wanted. So having that influence of the arc and what it did, it really helped me out to get out from that situation.
So, I mean, did you get a sense that they were like human, or were they kind of like clones or something else?
I think they were human. They were human, Doc. I didn't feel no other sensation like I felt with the Nordic. But I felt like a negative vibe, a big negative vibe from them.
Okay. So we're talking, these are people that are working with the deep state. I mean, they're humans, but they're working with the deep state.
Yeah, they're black hats. Yeah, they're evil.
Okay, okay. Now you did send me some images of those. So these are the beings that you were talking about. So you want to tell us? Okay, so that's the first image you sent me.
Yeah,
What do you want to say about that?
it's really similar to what I saw. And this image was actually, I told my experience a little bit to Mrs. Miyoko, the lady that brought me to the conference, and she had an artist that drew that for me. And I said, "Wow, how did you figure out how these people look like?" I was talking to Mrs. Miyoko. She's like, "The way you described it was, I felt evilness." So she really felt the. I think that these people were evil, and they were scary. So she helped me
Okay.
out with the art.
Okay, so this is the second image you sent me, and they're kind of wearing kind of like face masks
Yeah.
of some kind.
Yep. They had like a similar face. Everybody had like a similar face, similar height, and that's what I saw. And when they talked, they all had like the similar voice. So I don't know if it was something in their mask that made them sound the same, or I hope they're not clones. Shit.
Right. Yeah, what it makes me think of is the scene from the Stanley Kubrick movie Eyes Wide Shut, where you had these kind of Satanists, if you like, wearing masks and being clad in black and all of that. So, my guess would be that this group that had abducted you, they were part of the kind of satanic deep state.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt a bad vibe like that, Doc. It was a terrible vibe that I felt. I really felt that they were bad. They deal with some negative spiritual things.
Right, right. Well, there's all sorts of rumors, stories that all these deep state Satanists have been arrested and taken off to Guantanamo, um, executed and so forth. But it seems that there's still a significant faction or a number of them that are alive and kicking and still kind of like having a lot of influence over global affairs and things like the space arcs.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt a negative sensation on this. I don't even call it mission. It was a torture, and I don't want to bring fear porn to everybody, but it's not looking good right now. Nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. There's been stories about rumors about agreements being reached where we're not going to get disclosure for some time to come. So your experience, I guess that would be consistent with that.
Well, there's a fighting going on. There's right now. This moment as we talk, there's fighting going on. So it's it's not looking good.
Yeah, definitely is not looking good. So the fact that the space arcs have been compromised by this deep state Satanist faction and that they're not going to be floating and revealing themselves to the world, that's going to push back disclosure for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna make it tough for a lot of these technologies to come out. Man, it's sad. It's really sad. It's saddening
Okay.
that something like that can happen.
All right. So your experience really does confirm that somehow the deep state still has the resources and the influence to put the kibosh on official disclosure and even extraterrestrial disclosure and space arc disclosure. They've been able to succeed.
I think we still probably, depending on the situation, what happens on Earth with the real thing that's happening, with the wars and all that. Um, it could happen like in a flash, a type of disclosure still. So depending, every time there's a massive war, new technology comes out and something new comes out. Look what happened with the atomic bomb. Look what happened with other technologies that are coming out. Always when there's a war, there's something that comes out that breaks the barrier of the capability of what we're capable of doing, um, Doc. So there still can be a type of disclosure, but I think when people find out the type that it might come out, that it's connected to uh, spirituality, people are going to be there's going to be a lot of confused people running around without a head. So,
Well, now there's an American Pope, and
yeah,
and there's and I think, and I've kind of talked about this and documented
yeah,
this, that there has long been an effort by the Vatican to be associated with a first contact event where kind of human looking extraterrestrials would be rolled out as our friends. But of course the Vatican is compromised, so if they did roll out, if they were involved in a disclosure event, it would probably not be to our best interest.
now we know where the gold is, huh?
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it happened for a reason. Uh, Everything happens, for a reason, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening now, I think, is affecting a little bit of disclosure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you're now touring in Japan and you get back to the United States in 5 days or so. And I guess then you'll probably give a briefing, or speak to your the guy that gives you the green light, the Air Force officer, and
I'm
maybe
sure. I'm
then
sure
you'll
he
learn
knows.
more.
I'm sure he knows. I've seen a couple winks here and there, of guys being here protecting me.
Okay.
So I'm sure they're all over the place. So it's it is what it is. I think he knows already, and I
Okay.
don't think it would be a
So you,
problem.
you
But I
do.
think, yeah,
So you do have guys protecting you, but still this group was able to abduct you. So I guess
yeah,
maybe
yep.
maybe those that were protecting you, kind of, did they allow that to happen?
I'm not sure what happened, Doc, but I got taken, and that's what I remember. They didn't get rid of me, so I'm
Hmm.
still here. So whoever was trying to protect me or whoever did anything that had to do, I think they were doing their job.
Yeah. Well, I think we can thank the Space Ark for that, right? You were rescued by the Space Ark. That it rescued you and that Nordic by helping you evade those, I guess, Satanist deep state operators.
Sometimes they do let people get taken just to know who these
Hmm.
people are and to
Right.
figure out who they work for. So yeah, they sometimes let things happen just to know more information. So
Right.
I
Right.
guess I was a guinea pig right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, that's a very important point, that you're working with Space Command and Space Force, and they watched you. They had operators there, but they saw you were abducted, and that what happened to you, and somehow they're able to monitor you. So they got valuable intel on what this deep state faction is doing with the space arcs. But yeah, for all of us watching this update, it's very upsetting that something that we thought was going to be a very beautiful way of awakening humanity has been compromised or been infiltrated by the deep state. And that we're not going to have the space arcs all rising all over the planet now because the deep state has been able to infiltrate.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be tough now. So we just have to, like I always been saying, hold the peace, hold the love, and share the experience of what's happening with with ETs and inner Earth and all that. My experiences. I got the green light to talk about these experiences, but if people are going around with their head chopped off, I'm like, what's going on? So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough these next couple weeks. So something might happen, um, a major disclosure of something that stops everything, or something else that we don't want to happen. So hopefully, what we don't want to happen don't happen.
Okay, so there could be a surprise. There could be some kind of disclosure surprise in the next couple of weeks. But given your experiences, it may be that disclosure is going to be delayed for a few years or a long time.
Hopefully, there's no false flag.
Well, that would be a concern. Some people have been saying that the deep state's going to move forward with a false flag alien event. It could be the invasion, or could be the
Yeah.
fake salvation. So you're saying that that's a possibility in the next few weeks.
Oh yeah. Now it could be with all these rockets flying around, and if they do anything that will endanger the frequency of Earth, they might stage a fake alien invasion, or you know a fake savior or something might happen uh, that can confuse a lot of people. So we have to be vigilant now and make sure none of this stuff happens, that you realize that it could be beneficial, but there's going to be a lot of confusion, Doc, in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, well, I go for the fakes alien salvation event personally. I think that's more likely. And with the war now that's happened in the Middle East and Israel and Iran, this has all the makings of of like the Gog and Magog war.
Oh yeah,
That was
yeah,
predicted in the Book of Revelations, and I think I think Isaiah or one of those other books that in the Old Testament predicted the Gog and Magog war, and that yeah that yeah there would be some kind of salvation for Israel as it was fighting against all its enemies. So yeah, it does have this kind of eerie Gog and Magog biblical thing going on, and there could be, if that continues to roll out, then we could watch some kind of alien salvation event play out in a few weeks, as you were saying.
yeah, and people, it's just insane. It's just insane what could happen. There's so many scenarios. They're also saying that a big city killer asteroid might be heading our way as well, and these days, it might hit Earth as well and create a shithole uh, on the whole Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also saying about these earthquakes might happen all around the world because of the magnetic field twisting in a way that can activate all these earthquakes. So there's a lot of different types of scenarios uh, that can happen, and hopefully the scenario of disclosure could happen, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what we hope for.
Yes, well, a disclosure scenario that involves the deep state is probably not something we really want, but seems that may well be what's in the cards. Okay, so to summarize then, this kind of incident happened on June 6th, Friday, June 6th. And 10 days later, we're doing this recording. You were abducted by the Black Hats, and then you were rescued by the Ark and the Nordics. And now there's a war happening with Israel and Iran that could expand. So things are looking pretty dark at the moment. So any kind of final words of optimism you want to share with us?
Sure. Always share the love frequency everywhere that you go. Always be vigilant in everything that you do, and just try to bring heaven to earth wherever you're at. Get into religion, get into spirituality, get into God, get into whoever you serve. Because it's gonna get tough in the next couple of weeks. So we just have to buckle up and ride the wave.
Okay, there you heard it from the man. We got to get into our higher spiritual vibrations, manifest heaven on earth, and be positive, have those positive vibes, connect with your higher self, connect with God, whatever it is that inspires you to reach those high vibrations. That's very important advice at this time.
It's not to be scared, because we are eternal beings. We don't stop living. We are eternal beings. So whatever happens on earth happens on earth, for a reason. That's what I believe, Doc. And I think we can control, if we all connect with each other and bring the Kuria Mate, the portal from heaven to earth, and just everybody be in the same accord. I think we can still do something positive here. But the way it's looking, there's a lot of negative vibe.
It certainly does look like that. Okay, well, thank you, JP, for that very important update, and thank you for just being here and being a very positive source of information during this time of change and great uncertainty.
All right, Doc, it was a pleasure to be here. JP out.
Aloha.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.